I think we've got a bit of an issue. Hi guys, welcome back to the RC store. My name's Ammo. Check out what we've got on the desk today. I think we've got a bit of an issue. Now, on the desk here are 58 controllers. However, that's not all of them. This is all I could fit on my desk. I've got about 180 coming up to 200 RC cars. Now, you can imagine having 180 to 200 RC controllers is a bit of a pain. And to be honest, I've been battling with this for the last 2.5 years, finding the right controller, getting it out, and these are some of the ones that I use pretty much all the time, believe it or not. I did have a simple method, which was underneath each controller, I've labeled them. So I know exactly what controller is for what specific car. However, rustling through all the controllers to find the correct label is becoming a pain. And that's the honest truth. Now, some of you guys are going to probably turn around and say to me, Ammo, why don't you just get a controller and program them to all the cars? Okay, which is a fair comment. Now, don't get me wrong, I've had some great controllers in the past, like Futaba's, etc. And then I've still got some great controllers here on the desk. For example, this is one of the top of the range W-Fly X4s. Now this is programmable to multiple different cars. You can do it with that. I've got other Fly Skies. I've got the one that comes with the Raminator, the FSGT5. Once again, a fantastic controller. Guys, you get the gist. There's loads of controllers here, from Dumbos and all sorts. And you're probably thinking, why don't you just pair them all up? The issue I have is I've looked at prices for receivers, and it doesn't warrant me buying 200 receivers to get rid of all of these at the cost of like £20 a receiver. The cost is just astronomical, and I'd rather just live with the headache, to be fair, because the expenses are so high to buy loads of receivers. We're about to change that today, and I am looking forward to this because it's going to make my life a lot more simple, and I won't have to go through all this again. So it's time to solve this issue with the brand new to me, Radio Link RC8x. Now this thing is a bit of a beast. Right, we're going to deep dive in to this controller and let's check this out. I want to give a huge shout out to Radio Link for sending this out to me. You have definitely sorted one issue in my life. As you can see, the desk is cleared, and how much better does that look? This controller is going to make my life a lot easier. Like I said, that was only 58 controllers on the desk, and I've got approximately between 180 to 200 and climbing every day. Absolute unreal. Now, this actually comes in a nice bag. It's got a nice carrying handle, and to be fair, the quality of this feels real good. So I do like the bag, and that's my honest truth. If there are any negatives in this, I will tell you guys, and I'll be completely honest and transparent. So opening this up, so you do have a pouch here at the top. You get some manuals here. You get a conformity certificate just there as well. Now you do get a little box. I will go through absolutely everything. Foam packaging. You've got the controller itself just here, and to be fair, it's got a nice foam padded case inside, so that's quite nice. To be fair, it's going to keep your controller protected. Now this particular one did come with R8FG receiver, which is one here. You also get a little one here in the bag as well. Now this is the R4FGM. Now this is quite tiny, to be fair, so it doesn't come with a case, etc. And I'm guessing this is for smaller and tighter applications, I guess. Let's go through what's in the actual box, a quick flick through the instructions, and we'll get this thing on and go through some of the features. So this box here, open it up, let's see what's in it. Right, so you do get a battery tray with a JST plug on the end. So if you want to use 8 AAA batteries, you can do on this tray using the JST plug. You get a Radio Link lanyard. You get a bigger throttle connector here as well. So your trigger itself, you can put a larger trigger on if you've got larger hands, and you do have a couple of hex keys there as well. You get a USB lead, and that's about it. To be fair, you get quite a bit for a controller. Right, let's skip this to a side and have a quick flick through the manuals. So the manuals, they do come in 2 different languages. So you've got English on one side and you've got Mandarin on the other side. So going through the English side, now I do recommend you read these manuals. I know a lot of us do not like reading manuals, and we normally flick through these and think, yeah, we know how to use a controller. Now, some feedback that I've had from other users is they can't get on with the radio. And the simple reason is they've not read the manuals. And then once they read the manuals, they actually find this controller is actually incredible. So I am going to touch base on that before any of you guys comment. Yes, read the manuals, because they are quite important when it comes to complex controllers. It will make your life a lot easier. So here, it gives you a quick content guide on what comes with the controller itself, as you can see here. So you do get 2 receivers with this. You get the 8 and then you get the 4. Now I did order this with an additional 7 one as well. So like I said, I've got like 200 RC cars to fulfill. So I will be ordering many, many more. Now the beauty about this controller compared to all the others, and why I went for the Radio Link, is receivers start here in the UK as little as £6. That's right. If you want a cheap, basic receiver with no gyro, they start as little as £6. And if you want something advanced, like the 7 argument's sake, or even the 8, they start from about £12 and range up to £15. Now they are ideal if you've got planes ideally, but we're using them on a controller for RC cars or boats. So perfect for long distance and definitely perfect for high speed runs. Now, if you ain't seen the previous video on me high speed running, check that out. And that was one of the reasons I reached out to Radio Link and picked up one of these, because it's a must when you're out speed running. So this particular controller here, stated in the manual, has 600 meter range, which is quite a lot. However, you can put boosters on this and boost that to, argument's sake, 1 mile to 2 miles as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Like, scrolling through the manuals very quickly, you have got different pages giving you color indications and illustrations of what the controller actually can do, showing you all its features. So like I said, definitely worth checking out the manual. The actual controller itself. Now, I am going to say straight away, this feels like a quality controller. It does have a fair bit of weight to it. I'll give it that. It feels nice in your hand. Yeah, it just feels good. One negative I will say, which, like I said, I'm completely honest, and I'll tell you guys if there is a negative. I would have preferred the wheel slightly further back. Me being me, using it for content recording all the time, I'd like to be able to control it sometimes with just my thumb. I can, but it's a bit of a stretch and I might knock the DT4 button. So this is realistically for 2 hands, but that's what they're designed for. We're not supposed to be using it with 1 hand. So the controller itself's got loads of features. And one of the main things on here for me, it's got 200 models memory. That's right, I can store up to 200 models in this, providing I've got 200 receivers, and all them controllers that you see, I can get rid of them, put them away in the original boxes for every RC. That's right, I've got every single box for my RCs, and I can crack on with just 1 controller. How simple does that make my life and yours too? Absolutely wicked. Right, so let's go through everything this has got. So from what I can see here, you've got many different buttons in different locations. So switching over to the front of the actual controller itself, you've got the PS1 button just here. You've got a DT4 button here. You've got a DT2 button, a DT1 button, and a DT3 button. Plenty of channels. You can do a lot of mixing with this controller as well. So you've got the PS3 and the DL1 dial just here. and you've got the VR dial just here. Now this particular controller, you can be used as a VR screen, so it's got a dual mode. So the screen splits in half, and half of it becomes an LCD screen that you can actually use as a VR, watching what's going on the camera itself. However, here in the UK, unfortunately, them VRs for this particular controller are illegal. Simple reason being of the frequencies they transmit. So they're not allowed to be sold here in the UK. However, that doesn't stop you getting one from abroad, ordering it from Amazon, Europe, etc. and so forth. So you can do that. But yes, I haven't got one, unfortunately, but definitely a handy thing to have, especially if you are crawling to see them lines a bit better, or if you're speed running and the car's in the distance and you want to know if it's turned around okay. Perfect. Right, moving forward, the actual wheel is a nice foam grip on there, and it feels really nice. It feels quality is the way to put it. Over down here, you've got the PS5 button just here on your thumb. And then you've got a PS2 button just further down here. And then flicking it around to this side, you've got another PS2 button here and another PS5 button here. Over at the front here, you've got a micro SD card slot. So as you can see, there is a micro SD card hidden away in there. This controller is completely firmware upgradable, so you can upgrade the firmware on this, which is absolutely fantastic as well. And you have got another button just here, which is a PS4 button. Absolutely incredible. Loads of buttons, and it takes a bit of getting used to. But I think this is one of those controllers, once you got everything dialed in to where you want it, you can literally go, pap, that does one thing. That puts the lights on. This turns it high gear, that turns it low gear. You can absolutely smash it with controls with this. Especially for this, I think this will be ideal for those of you that do crawling and RC trucking. Absolutely incredible. It's a simple reason being because of all the features that it's also got. And once again, if you've got a truck like the Raminator with four-wheel steer, etc., absolutely incredible. But let's not forget, you can use it simply, and you can use this for high-speed runs, bashing, etc. It is completely versatile. The actual trigger on here, the pull feels nice. It is completely adjustable, and you can adjust how wide the actual finger input there is as well. Flicking over to the bottom, my particular controller, you can order this with a LiPo battery. So this one comes with a 2S LiPo battery with a balance lead and a JST plug. Like I said, in the box you also get the tray. So over on the back you do have a couple of ports along this side. So you've got a DSC port just here. You've got a USB port that you can use to charge up the controller from, and you have a headphone socket jack there as well. Now that headphone socket jack, you can turn it from an output to an input, and you can use it for stuff like, argument's sake, if you do put a range expander on here, you can use it for that. There are many different things and many options that you can use this for. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to flip the camera on top. We're going to go through the controller and we'll touch base on some of its features. So switched over to bird's eye view. Let's switch this controller on.
Welcome to Radio Link.
So as you can see, it does have voice integrated notes in there as well. So a couple of the features I'm going to quickly touch base on from what you can see on the actual controller. So on this information screen that you see here, this is a dual screen. You can see your battery voltage just there. You can see your reception, so your signal level just there. So obviously there's no signal because nothing's bound to this. What model you're currently using. Now that you can name to whatever you want depending on your model. And here, this little part here is your servo view. So argument's sake, you see channel 1. So if I press left, you can see the input that's going into channel 1. And left and right, there you go. Channel 2, which is the next one down, which will be throttle. You can see the input level that's going in there, and so forth. So if I use argument's sake, this button here, this is for your steering trim, and it actually displays at the top there, steering trim, and as you can see, it's going up and down. And then also that's displayed just here. So your steering trim is now set on to -92. And you can change that pretty easy, and you hard press it, it goes back to 0. Now that's the same for a lot of these buttons. So your throttle trim, argument's sake, You can see it adjusting in both places, and you hard press it down and it goes back to 0. So you have got neat features on them 8 channels just there. Coming across to the bottom here, you've got the DT keys and the DL key. So depending on what you've set these for, they are completely programmable. So here you've got the DL1 channel, which is this one here. Now that's for the gyro. As you can see, it tells you there, and it also tells you there as well. So that's just a highlighted bit when you're adjusting it, and there you can check what your gyro is set to, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And having your gyro on a switch like that, I think is perfect for when your argument's sake speed running and you want to turn it up or want to turn it down, etc. Perfect for that. Also, you can program the dual rate like that, so you can turn your dual rate up and down as well. So some of the features that this has actually got, obviously I'll go through them with you. I'll bring the manual up here, so I'll show you just this. So some of the features that you can see here, you can adjust the language. You got theme settings, backlight, sound, battery, vibration settings, LED settings, home button settings, external input and output settings, calibration, information, channel reverse, endpoint, sub trim, channel settings, channel limiters, trim and dial select, switch and select, double ratios, fail safe, receiver settings, receiver signal, transmitter voltage, receiver voltage. You've got engine battery voltage, telemetry broadcast, steering curve, throttle curve, brake curve, acceleration. That's only half of them. You got steering delay, throttle delay, cruise control, idle up, trigger settings, traction control, ABS, motor start, engine cut, steering mixing, brake mixing, gyro mixing, 4-wheel steer mixing, dual ESC mixing. So that's perfect if you're running speed runs and you've got like a dual motor setup. Absolutely incredible. CPS mixing, tank mixing, programmable mixing. You got tilt mixing, screenshot settings, timer, rollout chart, gear ratio chart, model select, copy model, paste model, rename, reset, delete model, SD card folder. Like I said, that is just some of the features. Whew. I'm out of breath. Right, back to the controller. So here you've got a handy stopwatch. So if you press that there, that's zeroed out. Press it again. You can set your lap time up. And as soon as you come back and you want to stop it, just press it on the screen and it will give you your lap time. That's a pretty neat setting to have that on the fly. Now, some of the settings that we just read through in this particular manual, you can see them down here. So language, theme settings, backlight, and so forth. I've gone through all of this already, but you can see it all displayed here. You've got your basic menu here, and this is fully touchscreen, like I said, and the quality feels absolutely fantastic. You got your race menu. So argument's sake, on the racing menu, this is all to do with racing. So your brake curve, throttle curve, steering curve, cruise control, idle up. You can literally control absolutely everything. Mixing settings, and then here you got your tools, so screenshots, etc., your timer, rollout chart, gear ratio chart. It's all here. Now also here you've got a basic menu, so if you don't want to get into the nitty-gritty, you can go through the basic menu and you can set up your channels, whether they're reverse or forward, endpoint, sub trim, and so forth. Fail safe, that's another important one. Telemetry settings, once again, and like I said, this just literally rolls down through the menus. There is so much you can do on here. Now that button there allows you to access the SD card. On the SD card, you've got all your different sounds, all your screenshots that are saved, firmware upgrades, the font, etc. is all on there. Wow, there's so much to go through on this controller, and I'm actually looking forward to using this. But one of the highlights on this actual controller is the FPV mode. Like I said, unfortunately, you cannot buy the FPV system for this here in the UK. You can, however, buy it from abroad and have it shipped into the UK, but it's illegal to sell in the UK because of the frequency. However, the way it operates, you guys have probably seen videos of this already. The screen splits in half and you have a clear screen showing your FPV camera view, and then your telemetry controls, etc. So this is a dual screen, which makes this absolutely fantastic. The Radio Link RC8x is going to be an absolute game changer for me. I will keep you guys posted with my journey with this particular controller. And now I know some of you guys out there will mention a fair few other brands and fair few other controllers. Like I stated earlier on in this video, the prices for receivers is astronomical with the other handsets, and that's the honest truth. Now, for someone like me, like I said, that's got many RCs, it becomes, how can I first say, unjustifiable buying that many receivers at the cost that they're going to cost me. So for the sake of that, I'd never ever bothered. Now this, like I said, you can pick up a receiver for a basic receiver from the price of £6 here in the UK, and they range up to about £15, £20, depending on what sort of functions you want. For me, the most advanced one being the RF8G would cost you roughly between £12 to £16 here in the UK, and that's probably the most dearest one I'd ever purchase. The one that I'd use as my go-to one for my high-speed run cars would be the 7. Now the 7 with the controller gives you approximately 600 meter range, and like I said, with an expander on top or a booster, you're going to see anything up to a mile plus. Absolutely epic, and that's just what we needed for speed runs. At the same time, the cost of the receivers is so cheap. I can't stress to you guys enough, that was one of the reasons I wanted this controller. Now the first car we're going to actually put this to the test with is my Co-Rally Shiroi, which is just sitting here. This car has been waiting for a gyro, and I knew I was getting this, so I thought I'd hold out to use the gyro that comes in the receiver. We're going to take this out to the super track with this controller and the new gyro setup, and let's see how that thing handles as a 6S beast on the new setup. So be tuned to see that video coming up shortly. I always mix my content up, so it probably won't follow this video, so it might be out in a couple of videos after this. Be sure to check that out. When I go out to the super track, it's always an amazing time, and I really thoroughly enjoy taking trophy trucks and absolutely sending them there. Wow. If you want to pick one of these up, I will put a link in the description. Be sure to check that out. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on this. Some of you guys may have been using this for a while. Some feedback would be nice. However, I will give all my viewers genuine feedback on this controller. Guys, if you've enjoyed this content, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to smash that notification button, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.